So there's a lot that's gone down in the last week, and I feel like it needs to be addressed in a certain way. And so my argument to you is that the MULN MOASS is here, and it's either starting at the end of the day today, it's starting on Monday, or it's starting the following Monday. I can't see it being later than that. But I've been wrong before. But what I'm trying to explain is there is a censorship upon the earth right now that is fabricated in a string of lies that has to be exposed before the amount of time the average person would assume based off the average person's view of what's happening in this world. So if we go and look at Mullen, and you just saw what happened with that lawsuit as far as timeline, right? We file a complaint, they file for an extension, they answer at the end of the extension, then we request an extension to answer the answer, and then at the very last second we announce that we dismiss the suit. And that is all over the course of August 29th to December 7th, which is 4 months. So your average person would be looking at this new Mullen lawsuit filed and say, okay, well now we got to get at least past the 4-month mark before we feel like we are in a different position than what we were in 4 days ago. Assuming the current lawsuit was going to keep going and do the things we thought it was going to do, right? So here's the thing. Like, if you see a Twitter bull and they're talking positively about the new lawsuit, you have to assume that they're the dumbest person on the planet, or they got some type of ulterior motive. Now, you don't have to assume, like, you can go ahead and assume whatever the fuck you want to assume, but my point is that one day you're going to see that this lawsuit, and it's going to get exposed to you. So I'm telling it to you now, but, like, people are going to come out of the woodworks after the fact, after this shit goes down, and they're going to make some of you guys look like fucking retards. Like, you're going to be so scared to ever show your face again. So this lawsuit that was filed for spoofing is the most garbage ass lawsuit in the world. And if it wins, it doesn't win a lot of money. Like, here's what they're claiming. They're claiming because UBS and these other two companies, which are literally market making companies that allow hedge funds to trade, like, algorithmically through their systems in mass volume, and basically we're suing the head where those people, like, it's like creating Twitter, and it's like suing Elon Musk for what somebody else tweeted. Is it possible you can win that lawsuit? Maybe. But everyone thinks that that's like like, nobody's like confident about it. Nobody thinks that it's morally like guaranteed right thing to do. It's not black and white. And so we file this lawsuit. In this lawsuit, we make claims, mathematical garbage claims, that says every time you spoofed our shares, which you did 500 million orders, or potentially, I don't know if it's 500 million shares or 500 million orders. It was probably shares. But basically, like, if they throw 200,000 shares at a really low bid price, like, it causes the price to drop 1 or 2% over the next 30 minutes because somebody spotted it and they start, like, they take it as a sign that it's coming. And so if you look at the time frame from when that happens to the time that it goes down 1.5% to 2%, the orders of where, like, the people that wanted to buy, that like triggered that price action to that price, disappear by the time the price gets there. And so basically they're they're creating momentum in other people's trades to try and affect the price of stocks. But like, go and look at what market making is. It's literally what we pay them to do. Literally what we pay them to do. It's their job to throw in orders and get people trading the market. We're supposed to be engaging in a free and fair market that operates on the rules of supply and demand, and it does every single time until Mullen. Every time before, they simply have enough liquidity to combat whatever's happening within the stock. Obviously, sometimes, like GameStop, they got caught, and Ryan Cohen wouldn't dilute, and so the price went up until they halted the stock and said no more buying. Then it comes down a lot, and it squeezes again a month later. It did 220% in a day. Freaking people made over 200x on their options. And what they start doing, this time they had a plan though. So they let it go up. There was less people a month later still trying to make it happen. Like, this is after the January 31st, 2021 squeeze. There was another one in February. And in 1 week, they halted the stock over 25 times. Anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour at a time. And they basically just beat the people coming in with market orders for GameStop. They beat them into submission. And that was the death of GameStop. Like, we got that final squeeze, and since then it's been nothing but a place where if you go in there, because there's a few diehards that like don't believe in anything, and so they're just believing in GameStop. And when you look at this world and you see how corrupted it really is, like, if you're looking closely, if you're not one of the people that just watch the news, if you got some alternative medias, and regardless which side you're on, like, there's so many outlets now that are exposing enough of the evil in this world to know that both sides are fucking evil. If you're watching that closely, you got to understand that there's a lot of people in this world that when they see this stuff and they see the GameStop stuff happen, they see the AMC stuff happen, they see the Tesla stuff happen, it becomes easy for them to become cynical in a corrupt world and say there's nothing in this world worth believing in, so I'm going to believe in this fucking stock, and like, it seems like the world's just about to go to end, so I'm going to throw my $1 million inheritance into GameStop, and I'm just going to let it chill there and see what happens. Like, a lot of people thought that way back in 2021. Rich motherfuckers, spoiled ass kids, just saying, we're going to flip the tables. And they all just started calling each other, tweeting each other, message boards. Like, it started at Wall Street Bets, but it grew into something in January from like fucking Underground Railroad shit. But since GameStop lost its power, since Ryan Cohen started diluting all the way back in fucking March of 2021, it's been nothing but a distraction. And you have a couple people who left their money in GameStop or came in late to the party with that type of attitude, and they're just like, they don't care about anything. They're just sitting waiting for something to happen. They're expecting the world to just disappear in like World War X and fucking nuclear destruction for everyone. But like, otherwise they expect the market to explode, and the only thing they trust so far is GameStop, because it's the only one where 10 million people really looked and talked and got excited and actually like gave the market makers a fucking black eye. Like, AMC got just enough to fucking survive. AMC should have got so much more. Like, they deserve so much more. And had they had a CEO that was serious about the popcorn business from day one, that was serious about anything, like, they would have been making lots of money. Like, there's just, he had literally $7 billion in cash. Like, this motherfucker was one of the richest CEOs on the planet, most powerful, ability to do, like, he could go into any competition and, like, just have the money to do it. That was crazy. So rare. Such a rare opportunity. And all he did was pay off his fucking debt. Fucking bitch. So, who else shows up for GameStop? If it's the few people that showed up late and the few people that just said, you know what, fuck this world, I don't know what to do with my money, so I'm just going to leave it in GameStop and see what happens. There's one other group, and this is the group that knows that GameStop is nothing but a controlled piece of garbage. Nothing but the government's version of Tesla to manipulate the public and try to convince people it is the next Tesla, or Ryan Cohen is the next Elon Musk. And these people only show up to pump Mullen or pump GameStop when another stock is getting a lot of attention or about to have its squeeze. And they need to, their job is to come into the social media markets and create a feeling of unity and like unity among people that has like that is pretending to be stronger than what it actually is, because they pretend like they've been doing this since GameStop 2021, but really they all disappear and they sit on their fucking asses, and then once somebody from Israel gives them a phone call and says, okay, we need you guys back out there, they'll show up to space calls in the thousands. But when it's not the hot times, you can't find a space call with more than 100 people. All the same people that, like, because there's only a few influencers that actually will continue to do space calls throughout, like, the last 2 years. And they're really small time. Nobody knows them. Nobody cares about them. And the big ones only show up at the worst times to talk like GameStop's about to MOASS nonstop, 10 tweets every hour. And yeah, it's crazy, people. If you're really watching, you know that this time is different than all the other times, because the last time that GameStop had a little, like, it's up something at its best, something like, I don't know what it was 70%, maybe 60% between all the days of growth. And the last time it had that kind of growth or more was when Mullen squeezed from 72 cents to $4 between March 1st to March 14th. That's the last time GameStop squoze. As Mullen's collecting the most amount of dilution it's ever collected, back all the way in 2022, is the last time GameStop had a good price action. Interesting. And then what? So what does that mean? Is that was the first time that Mullen started raising dilution. So this is the first time Mullen puts themselves on the market as like a place to put your money to see a company grow. But they're claiming it wasn't their fiduciary responsibility to explain that their company will not be receiving the money because the money's going to the debt lenders for the next 2 years. Anyways, if you think about it, Mullen has had how many squeezes? How many? Like, we've gone up 50 to 200% over the course of 1 week, probably at least 7 times in the last 2 years. Now, those are obviously all small squeezes, and obviously the 72 cents to $4.18 was a 500-600% squeeze in the very beginning, so that's pretty huge. But the point is that out of all those times Mullen ran, the only time GameStop ran with it was the first time. The biggest time. The biggest part of the squeeze. And now we got GameStop starting the squeeze. Get the people interested. Get people looking over here while something else is happening over here. And so, because it started with GameStop and now GameStop starting right now, it feels like it's ending with GameStop. And that should make you super bullish. They wouldn't create the distraction unless there was already the threat. And if there's already the threat, creating the distraction does not eliminate the threat. It might suppress the threat in the sense that, like, it could have been better, it could have been bigger, but whatever's coming is still coming. Otherwise, they wouldn't be giving GME free money. Like, there's a lot of people that got text messages saying, bro, buy GameStop options, it's going up 50-60% in the next week. And they were right, and they had insider information, and I'm pissed because all those faggots made money off me and they didn't send me no information. I'm just kidding, I'm not that pissed. I wouldn't have invested because I got no money. But if we go back to the Mullen lawsuit for a second, like, we'll go back to the beginning. We just gotta tell it in chronological order, I guess. So on August 29th, we filed a lawsuit. Inside this lawsuit, we have mathematical proof. So I'm going to teach you how the market works for a second. Now, if you're one of the people that believe GameStop had over 100% short interest, you are a fucking clown. The market makers pretend that the market is rigged. And like, I wouldn't say the market makers pretend, but I would say, like, the news, the narratives that get put out there is that the markets are rigged and there's nothing we can do, and, like, the way they want us to feel is that the market makers and the banks and the government and all these people are so powerful that they can defy the laws of physics and math and supply and demand and control the stock market however they damn well please. That is the narrative you have been given. And again, they knew GameStop was squeezing well before it squoze, and they allowed it. And the intention was to create these facts that make you feel like that feeling is true. So you heard GameStop is 140% shorted, which is more than every possible share available. Well, guess what? You heard wrong, because when it was at 140% shorted, that was of the free float, and the free float was only like 30 or 40% of all the shares outstanding. Meaning that the insiders owned another 50 to 60% of shares that is not considered part of that 140%, which then turns that 140% number into an actual 60 to 70%. And so because that's 100% true, what we know is this. For every share created, they can loan it and they can short with that share. So you can never have over 100% short on your stock if you're counting outstanding shares rather than free float percent. But every data company is going to give you the free float percent shorted interest, not the outstanding shares shorted interest. And they separate data like that into thousands of little functions to make them all a little bit different. So if you don't actually know what's going on, you just look and it all looks confusing and sounds corrupt and sounds rigged. And that is their intention. So understand where Mullen is coming from. Mullen had filed a lawsuit in August 29th saying that we have evidence that at the times there was crazy volume, crazy price action in Mullen stock. We have data from the DTCC of how many shares Mullen has allowed to TD Ameritrade. And then we have the number of shares reported at TD Ameritrade. And ultimately, what we uncover is that, again, TD Ameritrade has over 100% more shares on their books of Mullen than shares they have authorized at the DTCC. Meaning, for every single share they got, they created another one to short. Like, they basically loaned themselves every single available share they had, and then they went and borrowed shares from other people that were supposed to be unshortable. And we claimed to have scientific evidence in the fact that we were given this, like, we were given this data from the, I wouldn't say they're the regulatory companies, but they're like the person in between, the data company that's like licensed through the regulatory companies. Scientific evidence that they have more shares than available, even if 100% of every share was short, which means that they have taken every single share in all of their accounts to short. And few brokerages did this. It was TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, Charles Schwab, like, we don't know all of them, but we know that there's a lot of them. I think Webull was mentioned one time. But the point is not necessarily, like, because the argument that TD Ameritrade takes out, let's just say, a short position on Mullen, and like they could argue that they got all those shares on their books by borrowing from a bunch of other brokerages. Like, there's ways for them to argue that kind of shit, right? But that's not the argument that Mullen took in the lawsuit. The argument that Mullen took in the lawsuit had nothing to do with naked short selling for the damages. We weren't claiming that, like, you stole money from the option makers, or, like, I mean, I guess we kind of claimed that you caused people who invested their stock price to go down through the shorting process. But more so than that, the basis of the argument was this, of the first Mullen lawsuit. We have proof that you are shorting every single share on your books. We have shareholders who are telling us they are in cash accounts and they have requested their shares not to be allowed to be lended. This is scientific evidence that you are taking our customers' shares as if our customers loaned them out to you for a profit and using it to short. And so we are suing you on behalf of our shareholders who you didn't give the loan fee to, even though you treated their share like a loan share. Nothing to do with naked shorting. It was about you stole money from us. You paid all these other people that own Mullen that said when you offered them 15% on their money over the next 30 days, so if they got $10,000 of Mullen, they got offered $1,500 to loan out their fucking shares for 30 days. Those people got paid. Your shares got loaned and you didn't get paid. That's what the first Mullen lawsuit was about. The biggest first thing Mullen lawsuit goes into is you stole our clients, investors' fucking money. Pay up, bitch, is what it said. We got scientific evidence, is what it said. We can get into the naked shorting. We can go into the hypotheticals and the math and the science of what the squeeze would have been and should have been and the damages and all that bullshit. But we don't even care about that for, like, we'll get to that in discovery is literally what the first complaint said. But the thing that, like, laid the cement that guaranteed we had victory was you stole our fucking money and you treated our money the same as you treated someone else's, that you paid them but you didn't pay us. And that is breach of fucking contract. And then they drop it. But they didn't drop it, people. That's the whole fucking point. There is a settlement already in place. This lawsuit that is filed now, as of 2 days ago, phunware already filed, which is like it was like Donald Trump IPO'd with True Social, and like 6 companies that like or 3 companies plus their warrant chains surrounded this moment and phunware is one of them, and deeply connected to Donald Trump. And he literally already filed the same UBS spoofing lawsuit back in July 25th. And a motion to dismiss was filed in October. And just on December 5th, the company responded to the motion to dismiss, claiming that it shouldn't be dismissed. And now the defendants have to answer one more time before the judge makes a ruling on the motion to dismiss. But the point is that we know from the first lawsuit, based off the first extension to answer the complaint and all this other bullshit, that there would be a 3-month gap between now and the time that we are even hearing either about an amended complaint, or if we go through the motion to dismiss process, then we're 5 months away from getting an answer if you just look at the phunware lawsuit. And so the point is that the phunware lawsuit is bullshit. Spoofing is literally the definition of market making, and it is the least bad thing to happen to us as a stock. And a lot of things are going to be changing. And a lot of good things are coming. And Mullen is definitely fucking squeezing. And they're going to try to create this story where, I don't know. I don't know exactly where the story's headed. But I can tell you with the story right now, what they're trying to do right now is make you feel like this just got kicked down the road another 3 months. Make you feel like the lawsuit's not going to cause you a squeeze for at least another 3 months. Make you feel like Cal Financial getting the cease and desist. That's nonsense, fool. There's no grounds on Cal to be given a cease to desist unless potentially it's about me dropping the recording of him talking. Those are the only possible grounds that you could, because I said after I dropped that recording that Cal wasn't going to be here much longer, and obviously we're 3 months later, and now it's finally got the cease to desist I expected back then. But yeah, that's the only thing that was even anything. And so the way that I see it is, I truly believe that Cal has been excellent friends with David Mitchery since the beginning. You don't get to interview somebody you don't like and it doesn't like you. They got along well, and that's why they did all their interviews together. And I believe a giant squeeze is coming, and a lot of attention is going to be coming to Mullen, to other people, to other things. Border security is not going away until it's resolved, people. There's a lot of things that are in motion that cannot be stopped this time. And it seems clear and obvious to me that Cal is just kind of bowing out of the process of when Mullen explodes and lots of people come to look and lots of people are getting asked questions. Only a few people are probably nobody's going to want to speak when they're trying to throw a mic in front of everyone's face. I'm probably the only one trying to grab all the mics. Hopefully David Mitchery got a few things to say. Honestly, Robert Bollinger, I'd like to see a lot of the executives just kind of imagine a president announcement speech, but for Mullen Automotive executives. That would be cool to have that. See him on a stage, Fox News showing it, and just announcing big news to the world. But whether they give all the credit to Mullen as being the company that got the settlement that's leading to all this positive change, or whether they're just gonna, whether there's a victory for Mullen that Mullen's excited about, and people that like Mullen are excited about, and people that like stock squeezes and investing are excited about because Mullen has all this success. But it's not the great, they try to cut the angle of the greater picture of the greater good that comes from all of this is not about Mullen. They might try to suppress that. I don't know. It don't matter. we do know that everyone that's of this world, all the demons, they're gonna be angry, wailing. The world will be screaming in anger, wailing in pain. It's that deep, deep pain of defeat, knowing the good guys finally won. All these bad guys about to be feeling real weak, real embarrassed, real naked. And so, I mean, if you just read the second Mullen lawsuit, like, we don't claim to have scientific evidence. Like, we claim to have mathematical proof that they're putting in orders that they're not executing, and we have trends that when a percent is larger on this side than this side, then it tends to move 1 to 2% over a period of time, and then the orders disappear. Like, it's very vague. But the problem is, you go look at the Trump lawsuit, and they filed a motion to dismiss on the number one grounds that they're trying to sue UBS for what the hedge funds are doing with UBS's tools. And that UBS is nothing more than a platform like Twitter, and everyone else tweeting is the hedge funds that are actually doing the trading and causing the manipulation. And UBS is like, how are you going to sue me? I'm just a platform. I'm not engaging in any trades whatsoever. And that sounds like a damn good argument on his side. Fuck. And so everyone trying to make you feel like this lawsuit means something, but like the second the Trump lawsuit gets dismissed, which is like the defendants got to answer the response from Trump's lawyers in the next month. I think it's January 6th or something. And and then the judge makes a decision. And if the judge dismisses the case, then instantly, boom, poof, instantaneously, Mullen's second lawsuit gets dismissed in the same court based on precedents. Just you watch. They're literally identical lawsuits. Mullen has no authority or power or anything inside this lawsuit. And if I'm a real investor and I know this, and I don't know about God Pill, I'm going to see this correlation I'm going to see this evidence up front. If I read the first lawsuit and the second lawsuit, and I see this first one dismissed, and I see Mullen coming out and claiming that they dismissed it on the grounds that there was no evidence and that they felt like it was weak and not worth pursuing. And I know that that's a fucking lie because they had scientific evidence, and it wasn't even about the naked short selling. It was about the fucking clients of these brokerages not getting fucking paid for their shares being loaned out, but their shares were fucking loaned out anyways. And everyone else that loaned out their shares got fucking paid. Fucking bullshit. But again, they didn't dismiss it because of what the announcement that coming out on Mullen. They're dismissed it because the settlement that came from the dismissal, I assure you, how long it can take for us to see what the settlement is, or at least a partial, like maybe some of the settlement sealed. But there's no way that people who bought shares in a cash account that turned off their lending is not getting redeemed 100%, 100,000%. Like, impossible. The damages you would have against these lawyers to go and open a lawsuit. Like, what you guys need to understand is there is a very, very quick and fast way. If they were to have fucked us, which I know they didn't, but again, think of it, this should make you feel so confident. This should give you the biggest reason to invest in Mullen, because they're lying to you about everything. They're bringing up this lawsuit that would make a smart investor who's read everything feel like Mullen is just 100% scamming and lying right now. Like, complete change tune, complete lack of evidence, second case garbage compared to the first case, all this stuff, right? Like somebody else already has the second case in the lawsuit 5 months in advance. Same people, same damages, same illegal activities. And so, a lot of reasons to think like it wouldn't squeeze, right? But that's why it is squeezing, is because they're lying to you. They wouldn't be lying to you unless they're hiding something from you. And they can't tell you what they're hiding from you if it's about a stock squeeze until it already fucking squeezes, because that's how this world works. So they're going to lie to the very end. And it's crazy that they do that, because there's no way that this doesn't look extremely, extremely ugly for them. Like imagine how edified Marcus Ray is when you find out that the second lawsuit was total and utter trash and just totally meant to distract you, because the Mullen squeeze was coming the whole time, and Mullen ends up at $100 on Monday or the Monday after. And it goes to $1 one day, and the next day it opens at $100. Imagine how stupid you're gonna feel, thinking that this lawsuit is going to kick Mullen down the road another 3 months, 4 months before you should even worry about getting excited. The reverse split coming next week. Oh, I should just sell and wait until next week. Think about it, people. It really feels like squeeze is today or fucking Monday. And if it's not, then it's probably 99% chance by the Monday after that, right after we win the RS vote. And if that doesn't happen either, then it's definitely coming before the end of the year. Just you watch. Oh, all I can tell you is that they're lying. There is a settlement. We've won. The second lawsuit was never meant to be pursued. We don't claim to have factual scientific evidence. We don't claim to have anything more than what anyone else has ever claimed to have. Just you watch the best. They're claiming that the first lawsuit had no grounds to go back to November 2021, which is bullshit. We literally announced that we were filing with the date of June, because that's when we started collecting evidence as our lawyers and everything. But we said that as we go into discovery, we were gonna extend the dates and extend the damages and extend the defendants and John Does and all this other stuff. It wasn't 1 to 10 John Does. We said it could be more than 10 John Does. We have no idea how deep and dark this goes, but we got evidence enough to get to discovery, and we about to fuck you up. That's what we said. And the defendants answered October 5th. We've still yet to ever read it. And basically, we were going to file our amended complaint. And the people who answered said, please do not file that amended complaint, because it will release what we said on October 5th. And we can't have the world knowing what we said. So what do you want? And David Mitchery answered. And maybe they said, okay, we'll give it to you, but please give us to the end of the year. I can live with that. And that's worst case scenario in my mind. That's absolute worst case scenario. I prefer that David said we fucking do this Monday, people dying out on the streets right now. This shit needs to happen tomorrow. Interesting times. Interesting times. It's going to be interesting when people come back and they see that they literally brought up the second lawsuit as a distraction, and that the first lawsuit had just settled, which changes everything we needed changed and causes the squeeze. And they literally just bring up a 1 week distraction just to get people retarded for a second, get people fudding for a second, get people looking retarded for a second. Man, I can't believe people are supporting this lawsuit and supporting the narrative that these are proper actions from a smart CEO. If this was his actual actions and this is what we had to deal with, I'd be so fucking angry right now. But I know that they're fucking lying, and that we already won, and that they're just delaying the inevitable. But this is a different type of delaying the inevitable. This is make themselves look as fucking corrupt, and I don't mean David, I mean the market makers, I mean the news articles, I mean the way they write everything. You can just tell that they're trying to make you feel excited about something, but only to the extent that the excitement is postponed. And so it's like, okay, it's like we may have filed a second lawsuit, but now it's going to take all this time, but like it's a stronger lawsuit, it's worth more money, yada yada yada, longer time frame, whatever bullshit. And so they got all these little things that sound appealing and sound good enough to be happy enough to like go promote it on Twitter, I guess, but honestly it's all garbage. And the only reason I'm promoting it as good news is because I know it's lies, and I know we settled, and I know we already won, and America's ours, bitch. Like, free America's here. This has never gone down in a court case. Like, you've never seen a public court case like this be suppressed on the answer, and you've never seen them settle before this fucking amended complaint's filed, just because the amended complaint would expose what they said on October 5th. This is fucking wild, people. It's going to be bigger than anything we can imagine. It has to be. Otherwise, David wouldn't have settled. David's here for me. David's here to make sure I get everything I need. And it's coming. Hopefully Monday. I mean, we still got 3 hours today. I'll take that too. Alright, later, fools.